Welcome to Neocash Radio. With you in the studio today, it's Darren. JJ won't be joining us today via Skype, but we got a great show lined up for you today. There is so much happening in the world of finance in general. So first, let's start with our traditional market roundup. So in the traditional markets, we have gold hanging in below 1,300. So it's a little bit lower than last week. We got the Treasury yield. 30-year Treasury yield almost at a year low. It's back under 3.2%. So we got low interest rates, and that relates to one of our stories today. We also have the Dow Jones is back up over 1,700. So interest rates are down and stocks are up. That's normal traditional behavior. The money's got to go somewhere. So I guess this week it went into stocks. So that's what's happening in that's a rundown of the traditional markets. But this week has been a crazy week for the world of economics and finance. If you've been reading any of the news, we've got there was an article that came out about Venezuela. And over in Venezuela, we've talked about them in the past. There's so much stuff going on there. Their 100 Boulevard note is what they have a lot of them, and because of the inflation, that's like 80% of their currency and things like that. That's just one of the problems. We covered a story about somebody going to Colombia to buy rice. And now there's reports coming out that Venezuela has implemented fingerprint scanners in the groceries to prevent basically food smuggling. So we had a story about somebody going over to Colombia across the border to buy food. Well, some people have been buying food in Venezuela at the low government fixed price, and then they bring it across the border and they sell it in Colombia, which it probably isn't in the best interest of people in Venezuela. So now, instead of just letting the market decide what price food needs to be, they decide that, in order to enforce their price fixing, have fingerprint scanners so that people can't smuggle it in the first place. But yeah, so it's another example of how technology, like you make more onerous solutions because of your first solution, that is price fixing, doesn't work. So it didn't work. It predictably couldn't work. It's been tried lots of times before. It's been tried in the U.S., and it always has some ill consequences like that, smuggling and other things going on, so food smuggling. So this has also been an interesting week for the Federal Reserve. So I'm not sure exactly which week is the interesting one, but there were certainly some stories coming out this past week about rate hikes. So basically, in the United States, there's this central bank that has some control over interest rates, and it's not a direct control over interest rates. They don't say interest rates are such and such, and that's what happens. They say, okay, interest rates are too high, so let's buy some bonds, and that'll have the effect of lowering interest rates. And they say, oh, interest rates are too low, let's sell some bonds, and that'll raise interest rates. So they have some control over it, but it's indirect. It's not exactly direct control, or not by diktat. So what's been happening over in the Fed, there's some stories coming out that there's kind of a debate. So the story from Reuters is that there's real debate on a rate hike in early to mid 2015. So currently we're in August of 2014. So early to mid 2015 would be less than a year from now. And there is some discussion on raising interest rates. Now, just like a lot of things that happen in the Federal Reserve, we don't know what the result of this discussion is going to be. They're talking about it, but they may do it, they may not. And this Paulson is the one person that's cited as talking about it the most. So it's not really even the whole board. There's this board of open monetary policy that they will ultimately make the decision. But PLOSSER, PLOSSER is the one that's thinking that interest rates need to spike. And this is, or not spike, but at least go up. So this is something that is actually really difficult to parse and understand just for a general person. So what might happen with this is that if they raise interest rates, there's all kinds of consequences that will happen because of that. So raising interest rates probably will have an effect on mortgage rates because basically if interest rates go up anywhere, even if they just go up on treasuries, that's going to push interest rates up everywhere. For credit cards, maybe even savings rates could go up. Interest rates could go up. Of course, there's always a disparity between the savings rate and the credit card rate or what have you. So we could have interest rates going up across the board, and this would mean mortgage rates go up. Now, in the United States, we're just coming out of a slump of housing sales. We're kind of back to more standard now, from what I gather from different sources. But if interest rates go up, that could cause housing sales to go down because people won't want to take out the mortgage at the higher interest rate to finance the house. So either sales will go down or maybe prices will go down in order to compensate and to spur more sales. So that's something to keep in mind if you're an actor in the market right now. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that the Federal Reserve may not raise interest rates. Okay, that's another thing that could happen too. So you don't want to make a decision based on this information that this guy Ploser might want to raise interest rates. Now, so the discussion is kind of like this: like if you don't, so there's worried about the economy being too hot. Basically, is one way you can think of it. Now, in the United States, I think arguably we could say the economy is not too hot. But there certainly are inflation concerns that creep in there, even though the economy is not going gangbusters full speed ahead right now. We may be out of a recession, but it's not. I don't think the economy is going super fast. But there's been so much more money introduced into circulation that inflation is certainly a concern. And so one way you might curb inflation is to raise interest rates. If you raise interest rates, then people are less likely to take out loans, and so the kind of the velocity of money goes down, and you basically can, just by raising interest rates, can make it act like you basically can put a limit on inflation. So that's kind of what the discussion is. So we don't want the economy going too quick. We don't want. We don't want other things happening, so we'll raise interest rates. Now, what last week the story coming out from the Federal Reserve Chair Yellen, she was saying that jobs are more important, like the employment outlook is more important than inflation concerns. So she was on the side that don't raise interest rates until the job market picks up, until the people are employed and the true unemployment rate goes down. So there's real discussion going on at the Federal Reserve right now. It remains to be seen, and it'll play out in the next while. Now, the QE3 was slated to be ended in October of this year. So we'll see if that happens or not. It's possible we could have QE4 before then. Well, I mean, probably not before October this year, but maybe by October next year, we'll see QE4 happen. But it's all speculation at this point. They're just having a discussion. I think it's a discussion worth paying attention to in all reality, because it affects so many things. So do you enjoy Neocash Radio? If you do, we ask that you support the show by exercising an option on our support page. By clicking on our ad for Amaji Metals, you can buy some silver, and that'll support the show. Or if you want to help the show and you don't have any money, just follow the instructions at our post, how to earn a free millibit, and that will help the show. And if you've already done that, I saw some people have done that, you can keep doing that, and it'll keep helping the show. So if you just get yourself a free millibit, it'll take some time, but You can get yourself a free mail bit, and that will help the show as well. You can also donate on our support page. Just go to neocashradio.com, and there's a support tab right at the top. So in other news happening in the crypto world, and I'm actually pretty excited about cryptology and cryptography recently. I'm just really getting excited about it. But there is an article here that actually confirmed some of my suspicions. The list, you may know, you very well may know about something that's called Tor. And what Tor is a anonymity network, more or less. It's a way to browse the internet without divulging your IP address, your internet protocol address, or it also won't divulge any information about you. Now, you can still type in your name and people would know that you typed in that name. But and generally, if you wanted to browse the internet anonymously, then you can use Tor. You can also use Tor to host websites anonymously. But that only helps. But the only people that can see those websites are people behind the Tor network. Now, this story that we have is from BBC News, and the story title is NSA and GCHQ agents leak Tor bugs, alleges developer. So there's this is from the BBC, that there's a developer that's alleging that Tor has bugs in it. This was leaked by the NSA and basically the equivalent of the NSA over in Great Britain, GCHQ. And I mean, I've had security concerns from Tor quite a while, but these bugs would affect your anonymity on the network if you were trying to preserve your anonymity. So just kind of keep that in mind. There were two major arrests last year. One of Ross Ulbricht, who he's accused of running an underground drug marketplace or internet drug marketplace called Silk Road. And there's another fellow who was arrested that was hosting a lot of these hidden sites, and he was arrested because some of the hidden sites weren't doing the best thing in the world. So, well, certainly not the best thing. So, I've been kind of curious as to how those arrests, how the information was gathered. You can read the documents about how these arrests were, and there seems to be a few gaps in the story, like how that information was obtained and how this information was obtained. So, well, now we have some evidence from the BBC provided by these developers and agents that conveyed by the BBC. So if you use Tor, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind that you may not be completely anonymous if you're using Tor. So it depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you're just reading things, you're probably not too worried, but I'm a little hesitant to trust it for more than just looking up stuff to read. All right. Good. So now there is a discussion I'd like to have about Ethereum. So Ethereum, JJ and I had a show a few weeks ago about the Ethereum pre-sale, and that's still going on right now. And if you're interested in the Ethereum pre-sale, well, the price of Ether, which is the currency or unit that's going to be used within Ethereum, within the Ethereum protocol, the price of Ether is quite high compared to what it initially was. It was $2,000 per Bitcoin. Now it's, let me look. It changes every day now. So, but I'll look that up in a little bit. So, but basically what JJ and I were saying is that it might not be the best time to buy Ethereum right now. There could be a better time to buy Ethereum or Ether when after it launches. So that was basically um, what we were suggesting. Now, since then, I've spent a little bit more time looking into Ethereum, and there is certainly some amazing things that, some amazing potential with the whole Ethereum network. What I saw, and there's actually a tutorial on how to do this, is you can make your own coin. The tutorial called it a coin on the Ethereum network. Okay. Now, at first, I rolled my eyes when I saw this. Now, it was a tutorial, was trying to show you how to program. All of that stuff made sense because sometimes it's better just to do a little easy example than to, blow everybody out of the water and do one example that that's really hard and people who are trying to learn would have trouble finding or following. So that makes sense as a as a tutorial or an instructional aid. What they were doing made sense to give this example, but practically having another coin on it working within the Ethereum network, well, the utility of that seems somewhat limited to me. There would have to be a huge marketing campaign to get the coin working. The coin working depends on the whole Ethereum network working, and you've got Bitcoin. What advantage would it have over Bitcoin? Blah 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 blah. Okay, so I wasn't too enthused about that, but then I got thinking, hey, wait, these are units that can be traded in a way that's secure, and there'll be a public record of how they're traded, so there's never a contention as to what trade happened or didn't happen. So that would never be in dispute. So that sounds pretty useful, come to think about it. Like, where do you have units that you need to trade between people? And, well, that happens every day on Wall Street, if you think about it. So now I'm thinking that there's going to be a tremendous amount of applications that are going to be built on Ethereum, and some of them we haven't even thought of. And you can we should have said this a couple weeks ago. Maybe we did, but with a little bit more thought, you can think of a lot more applications. Now, I'm a little bit concerned about the legal ramifications of basically having something playing the role of a security on a decentralized consensus network like this. But the possibilities, if this was the case, would be just completely astonishing. So that's just one thing. And it would be basically a decentralized stock market that could be made. And then if somebody had like a portal, like maybe a website portal that helped people access the decentralized stock market, maybe somebody puts pressure on the website operator to shut down. Well, somebody else could open up basically another portal, and it'll be into the exact same stock market. In fact, you could have two portals into the same stock market. In fact, you had two portals, but one exchange had delisted one of the companies because they don't trust them, or there's been some allegations of it's not a good thing to trade. So you could have several portals that compete based on reputation as to which one, and for customers, because generally people who want to trade stocks don't want to trade the really Ponzi scheme, nasty type of stocks. So that's just one thing I was thinking about with Ethereum. That's just one application I don't think has been fully explored. And after it launches, I'm sure it's going to be explored, probably several times over. It's also very interesting the way they're setting up the programming language on top of Ethereum. You know, there's a Turing complete scripting language on top of the Ethereum network that is responsible for all the contracts and everything. Turing complete programming language. And so with the implementation, there are actually several languages that you could write your contract or program in and then release it on the network. There's like the main one, or one of the main ones. If you install the C++ or C client, you could write a contract in what's called LLL, which stands for Low Language Lisp-like Language. Low-level Lisp-like language, excuse me. Okay, so there's LLL. That's very crude of a language, but it works, and it works pretty well. And then there's some other languages that there's a Go client, so there's basically an implementation in Go. I believe there's also JavaScript client that's not, or JavaScript algorithm, or a way to write up your contract or program in the Ethereum network. And also there's a Python implementation. So no matter what you're used to programming, you should have, if you've used to anything, you should have something that's kind of your forte. I think the JavaScript one was just kind of, somebody just made it. It wasn't part of the original spec. If you're really interested and like to read technical stuff, you can read the yellow paper on Ethereum. The yellow paper has more technical details than the white paper. The white paper is like wow, this is a cool idea. And the yellow paper has more technical details about how such a thing would be carried out. So that's, if you're looking for something to read and you don't mind reading technical things, that you might want to look up the Ethereum yellow paper. So we're JJ and I, we're critical about buying Ether. I'm still somewhat critical about it. Right now, there's 56 million Ethereum units issued over that. The sale has gone very slow now. And if you bought Ether right now, as of recording on Sunday, August 24th, you would get 1,430 Ether per Bitcoin. And an hour from now, so probably by the time this posts, you can buy 1,400 Ether per Bitcoin. So if you were going to buy Ether, it would have been better to buy when you get 2,000 per Bitcoin. I'm going to take my chances, and hopefully I can buy it at 2,500 per Bitcoin once it launches. That's kind of what I'm hoping. IPOs, there's a lot of hype at the beginning, and then the price goes down. And so if you can catch it while it's going down, but I do think there's a lot of potential for Ethereum. So as the price goes down, people probably, I expect people to buy it up and do things. Now, this is all speculation on my part. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell. So great. That's what's happening with the Ethereum. It is pretty amazing. If you have some time and if you program, you might want to look it up. And even if you don't program, you might want to get familiar with the details of it to know what some kind of applications would be coming out. And I honestly think that I cannot tell you everything that is possible with Ethereum, and I'm pretty sure about that. We have follow-up to another story that I mentioned in passing a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, I mentioned that Gavin Andresen put up a tweet that said that there might be a way to make an arbitrary size block size. Well, right now there's kind of a debate going on between Gavin Andresen and this guy called Peter Todd, who have both been very active in the Bitcoin development, and they're having a discussion whether Bitcoin can scale and how it can scale. So that's what they're having a discussion about. So if you're really interested in the scalability question, well, we did try to cite Gavin Andresen as somebody you might want to look up, but also Peter Todd, in the interest of fairness and completeness. You also might want to consider what Peter Todd is saying on the scalability issue. I personally think they're going to solve it at some point. I'm not too worried. We're not stressing the network an extreme amount now. But yeah, if there was a severe uptick in adoption, I could see the network being stressed. But right now it's plugging along without too much trouble. I also think that they could hard code the cap from 1 megabyte to 2 megabytes just because technology has improved so much, and few people would notice. That's what I think. But anyway, so I mean, of course, that just doubles it. If we're expecting exponential growth, doubling once and then not doubling again could be a problem. So anyway, so that scalability thing, that's something I think people would want to keep an eye on if they're interested in Bitcoin at all. Okay, and so there's talking about exponential growth. Well, the difficulty is slated to go up just under, maybe up just over 4 billion in a week from now, like a week and a half a day from now. I'm expecting the difficulty to go up at least another 4 billion. And that's pretty dang amazing if you think about it. Right now it's at 23 billion, and it's estimated to go up to 23.8 billion. It's estimated to go up to around 28.5 billion. So and so the difficulty certainly is increasing and increasing quite quickly. Recently, now we had a little spell where difficulty just increased, but not very quickly. And I guess the next round of ASICs are coming online. All kinds of crazy stuff going on. So that's something to keep track of. If you're a miner, you might want to think about your business model because that's going to be hard to sustain if difficulty keeps going up like that. Okay, so in other news, and this is also from Venezuela, so this is actually kind of a good note. A good note. So on Venezuela, there's information coming out from Pan Am Post that says that exiles are launching Venezuela's first Bitcoin exchange. And this was an article that came out this week on August 18th. And so that's a few days ago. And the article claims that after this exchange gets up to 2 billion or 200 people registered for it, then it's going to go live and people are going to be able to trade. So that's pretty exciting. With fingerprint scanning and all this, from my perspective, Venezuela is in dire need of something that allows people to get out of their currency system and go into other things. So that's really exciting. That we'll see how it goes. I mean, 200 people is not too many, I don't think, from a country like Venezuela. So we'll see. We'll keep our eyes peeled on what happens there. Hopefully the fingerprinting thing doesn't get out of hand and people are able to buy Bitcoin without too much trouble if they live in Venezuela. So, okay, in the crypto markets, we have Bitcoin trading around $510, and it's been up and down this week. Just like many weeks, it's up and down. And so right now, as of Sunday, August 24th, we have Bitcoin at $510. It's probably about even from last week and certainly down from the week before. And Litecoin is over $5 again. It's trading about 1/100th of a Bitcoin per Litecoin. So we've seen some stabilization in the Litecoin market. Of course, that's nothing near what it was when it was at 0.025 per Bitcoin there for a while. So, but anyway, and the altcoins seem to be dying in general. Dogecoin's at 24 Satoshis. That's not very high at all. It's pretty low. Thank you for listening to Neocash Radio.